Rise above the storm. In a small, windswept town nestled between towering mountains and a vast, turbulent ocean, lived a young woman named Alara. The town, though picturesque, was known for its unpredictable weather. Fierce storms would roll in from the sea without warning, lashing the coast with rain, wind, and waves that could sweep away anything unanchored. The townspeople were used to the storms, but even they would speak of the dreaded tempest of the century, a storm that had devastated the town years before Alara was born, leaving scars on the land and in the hearts of those who survived. Alara had grown up hearing tales of that storm. Her grandmother, who had lived through it, often recounted how the townspeople had huddled together in the old church, praying and singing to drown out the howling wind. But the storm had taken much more than just homes and buildings. It had taken hope. Many who had survived had given up on their dreams, content to live quietly in the shadows of their fears, always bracing for the next storm. But Alara was different. From a young age, she had always been drawn to the sea and the sky. While others feared the storms, she felt a strange connection to them, as if they were speaking to her in a language only she could understand. She would often climb to the highest hill overlooking the town, watching the clouds gather and swirl, feeling the electric charge in the air before the first drops of rain fell. As she grew older, Alara's fascination with the storms turned into a deep desire to understand them. She began studying meteorology, learning about weather patterns, atmospheric pressure, and the science behind the storms that shaped her world. But it wasn't just the science that intrigued her. It was the challenge. Alara wanted to do more than just understand the storms. She wanted to conquer them. Her dream was to become a storm chaser, someone who ventured into the heart of the fiercest storms to gather data, predict their paths, and ultimately help protect those in their way. But in a town where fear of the storm was ingrained in every soul, Alara's dream was met with skepticism and doubt. "Why would you want to chase something that could destroy you?" her mother would often ask, her voice tinged with worry. "The storms are dangerous, Alara. You should be like the rest of us and stay safe." But Alara couldn't ignore the call. She knew that understanding the storms could save lives, and that running away from fear was no way to live. So, she left the town to pursue her dream, enrolling in a university known for its meteorology program. There, she met others who shared her passion, and together, they formed a team of aspiring storm chasers. For years, they trained and studied, chasing storms across the country, gathering data, and learning to navigate the dangers that came with their chosen path. Alara quickly gained a reputation for her fearlessness and intuition, often predicting the movements of storms with uncanny accuracy. But there was always a nagging doubt in her mind, a question she had never truly answered. Could she face the storm that had haunted her town for generations? That question was put to the test when, during the summer of her final year at university, news broke of a massive storm forming off the coast of her hometown. Meteorologists predicted it would be the largest storm in decades, possibly rivaling the tempest of the century. The townspeople were terrified, memories of the past storm resurfacing as they braced for impact. Alara knew she had to go back. She had to face the storm that had shaped her life, the storm that had left her town in fear for so long. Her team agreed to accompany her, and together, they set off for the small town on the coast, determined to use their skills to help the people prepare and, if possible, mitigate the storm's impact. When they arrived, the town was a mix of panic and resignation. Some were boarding up their homes, while others were packing to leave. Alara's family was relieved to see her, but her mother was beside herself with worry. "Alara, you shouldn't be here," her mother said, tears in her eyes. "This storm, it's too dangerous. Please, leave with us." But Alara was resolute. "I have to be here, Mom. I have to do this, not just for me, but for all of us. We've lived in fear of this storm for too long. It's time to rise above it." With her team's help, Alara quickly set up a command center in the old church, the very place where her grandmother and others had taken refuge during the last great storm. They worked tirelessly, using their equipment to monitor the storm's progress and relay information to the townspeople. Alara's knowledge and experience proved invaluable. as she guided the town's preparations, advising on the best places to seek shelter and when to evacuate if necessary. As the storm drew closer, the tension in the town was palpable. The wind howled through the streets, and the sky turned an ominous shade of gray. But Alara remained calm, focused on the task at hand. She knew this was the moment she had been preparing for her entire life. When the storm finally hit, it was every bit as powerful as predicted. The wind roared like a freight train, and rain lashed the town with relentless force. Waves crashed against the shore, threatening to engulf the lower parts of the town. But thanks to Alara's guidance, the people were ready. They had taken shelter in safe locations, and those in the most vulnerable areas had evacuated in time. Throughout the storm, Alara and her team worked tirelessly, monitoring the situation and providing updates to the townspeople. There were moments of fear when it seemed the storm might overwhelm them, but Alara's calm presence and unshakable determination inspired everyone around her. After what felt like an eternity, the storm began to subside. The wind gradually lessened, and the rain turned to a gentle drizzle. The town emerged from its shelters, battered but standing. There was damage, to be sure, but it was nothing compared to what it could have been. Lives had been saved, and the town had weathered the storm, not just physically, but emotionally as well. As the townspeople began to assess the damage and start the long process of rebuilding, they looked to Alara with gratitude and newfound respect. She had not only helped them survive the storm, but she had also shown them that they could rise above their fears. For Alara, the experience was transformative. She had faced the storm that had haunted her town for generations and emerged victorious. But more than that, she had helped others see that they didn't have to live in fear. They could prepare, they could stand together, and they could overcome. In the months and years that followed, Alara's story spread far beyond her small town. She became a symbol of courage and resilience, inspiring others to face their own storms, whatever they might be. Her town, once defined by its fear of the storm, became known for its strength and unity, a place where people knew they could rise above any challenge. And as for Alara, she continued her work as a storm chaser, traveling the world to study and understand the most powerful forces of nature. But she always carried with her the lessons of that one storm, the storm that taught her, and her town, that no matter how fierce the winds, how dark the skies, or how strong the waves, we all have the power to rise above the storm.